Hi, this is Tamara at mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating the stitch pattern used for the happiest blanket ever. That's a free pattern on mooglyblog.com. Please go check it out, and you can print it out and follow along with the video, and you can also reference the written pattern for the different stitch counts and row counts for different sizes of the blanket. You can make it in baby, throw, twin, queen, king, or come up with your own size using a multiple of 3 plus 4. So for this video, I will be using Lion Brand's Vanna's Choice and a USK 6.5 millimeter Furls Odyssey hook. So let's begin. Okay, so like I mentioned before, this pattern begins with a multiple of 3 plus 4. So for our tiny little sample here for the video, I've chained 16 chains. That's multiple of 3, 12, plus 4, 16. And I'll be using yellow yarn because even though I used white yarn for the main color in the blanket, that's hard to see on camera. You can begin working row 1 into the top V, which is kind of the standard way if you prefer. I like working into the back hump, so that's what I'll be doing here. Either way, doesn't really matter, it's just personal preference. So what we're going to do is skip the first 4 stitches. Chains, I should say. 1, 2, 3, 4, and work into the 5th chain. Those skipped 4 will count as a double crochet and skip 1. So that doesn't really matter right now, but just so you know why we're skipping all 4. So in that 5th chain, we're going to work a V-stitch. A V-stitch is a double crochet. Well, there's lots of different V-stitches, but I should say for this pattern, a V-stitch is a double crochet, chain 1, and the double crochet again in the same stitch. Stitch, chain, wherever the pattern tells you to put it. So that's our first V-stitch. From there, we will skip 2 chains and V-stitch again. And that's what we're going to do on a cross until there are just 2 stitches, or in this case, chains left. So V-stitch again, right there. And we don't put any chains or anything else in between the V-stitches themselves. Skip 2, V-stitch again. Like so. Skip 2, V-stitch in the next chain. There's 1, chain 1. There's the second half of our V-stitch there, like so. And then at this point, there are just 2 chains left. So we're going to yarn over and double crochet in that very last chain to finish it off. Remember I said at the beginning that chain 4 is like a double crochet and skip 1. You can see that's what we've mirrored here on the end. Got a double crochet and a skip 1, got a double crochet and a skip 1. So that gives us our nice straight sides. Now, for this pattern, for row 2, we're going to use a accent color. Now, when you make this pattern, you could use one accent color throughout, or I'm going to show you the way I did it for the blanket, which is switching accent colors every row. So what you want to do is actually, before you finish that double crochet, when you've got that very last double crochet in the last stitch or the last chain, when you've got 2 loops left on the hook, put that down for a second and pull up your contrast color. What we're going to do is finish that last stitch, and get down here, with the new color. Like so. Then, making sure not to pull it through, because we're going to weave that in later, just go ahead and let the main color hang off the side there. Just leave that be. I'm going to put the end over here so that when I chain 1, it sort of locks it in a little bit and doesn't want to pull out quite as easily, like so. So we begin row 2 with a chain 1, then turning, of course, to go back the other way. We're going to single crochet in the first stitch, like so. Single crochet in the second stitch. There we are. And then you see we've come to that chain 1 in the V-stitch that we made before. We're going to chain 1 again and skip over that chain 1. Then we're going to double crochet in the next 2 double crochets, like so. And then anytime you come to a chain 1 in the center of a V-stitch, you chain 1, single crochet in the next 2. Pretty simple repeat. Single crochet 2, chain 1, single crochet 2. So we're only working in actual stitches. We're not working into any chains, and we're not working into any chain spaces. That was hard to say. So when we get to the end here, we're going to work in that last double crochet from our last V-stitch. And then this is the one exception. We will work into the top of that chain 3, if you will, that represents our double crochet, because it does represent our last stitch. So get under both loops here. It's always the fiddliest part, working into a chain. There we go. And we've got our last single crochet for row 2. So if you're making the blanket, changing colors as described in the blanket pattern, at this point you'll go ahead and cut that yarn. Make sure you leave enough length that you can weave it in later. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish that off, pulling that yarn end through the loop so that it's nice and secure. Now, here's the interesting part. To work row 3, we're going to go back to the main color, but you can see the end of that is all the way back over here. So for row 3, going from row 2 to row 3, we do not turn. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hook right back under both loops of the first stitch we made in row 2. Then, finding the one that's actually attached to the skein here, there we go, I'm going to yarn over with the first color, pull it through like so, and then just go ahead and start working with it. I'm going to chain 3 like so, and that will count as the first double crochet of the row. And from here it's going to be basically a repeat of row 1 with the V-stitches, but let me show you where those go. What we're going to do is we're going to skip over that next single crochet and go into the chain 1 space of row 2. Not all the way down here. We don't want to go all the way down and work in the chain 1 space of the V-stitch. We want to just stay in the V-stitch of the accent color. Or excuse me, the chain 1 space of the accent color. Like here. So don't go here, just go into that chain 1 space there of row 2 and work another V-stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Then again, we'll skip those single crochets and work another V-stitch in that chain space. It really is a pretty quick and easy pattern once you start making it. Oops, went in the wrong spot there. There we go. You can see now we're starting to get those little dots of color like you saw at the beginning in the original blanket. And I accidentally put a chain there, didn't I? There we go. No chains between those V's. I don't know why my hook always wants to do it. But there it is. All right. I had to pull out many of those while I was making the blanket. So just V-stitch on across until we run out of chain 1 spaces. Looks like this is the last one here. Like so. And then, double crochet in that last single crochet that we made before. And then, since we're at the end of a main color row, it's time for another accent color row. So, you can see I finished that double crochet, but I should have stopped again when there are just 2 loops left on the hook. We find my end here, and we pull up our next accent color. I pulled it out of the skein a bit so it would be free, and then I lost where the end was. There we go. So, we take that color, pull it through the last 2 loops like so, and it's okay to tug down on that main color a little bit to help, because otherwise that'll start pulling up a little bit, and you don't want that to pull up too high. So we can flip the end, the cut end of the new accent color over. Sometimes I use my thumb to just help hold that down a little bit there. Take the active end and chain 1 to begin row 4, then that can drop. And that's exactly the same as row 2. We go into the first one with a single crochet, next one with a single crochet, and chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, single crochet in the next 2 on across, just as before. And that, these last 2 rows here, this one and this one, those are the 2, or you could say even this one and this one. Either way, repeating those 2 rows is the entire pattern. until you go to make a border, and then again you can make whatever border you want. There's a border listed in the pattern. But borders are one place where you can definitely make, besides color choice, you can really make blanket patterns your own. Pick your own colors, pick your own border, follow the directions exactly or mix it up. I think this is a really fun stitch pattern, and I hope to be able to use it in other ways in the future. So beyond the happiest blanket ever, maybe I should call it the happiest stitch pattern ever. But you can see it's really quite simple and gives a really great look. So at the end of row 4, I would again cut the yarn, assuming I want new colors every time. Finish it off, and then insert my hook in that first stitch again, pull up the main color, chain, and work across again before I turn again. So that is how you make the happiest blanket ever. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give us a like, let me know in the comments, and please do subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much for watching.